Hi, we're from the Lahana High School speech class, Tigers Talking on the Prairie, and we are here to talk to you about teen drinking. My name's Alex Blair.
I'm Madison Valdez.
I'm Aurora January.
And so, like I said, we're going to talk to you about teen drinking. And Madison is going to start us off by telling us kind of the basics of teen drinking.
Starting at the age 15 years old, 33% of teens have had one drink. By the age 18, about 60% have had one drink. In 2015, 7.7 million young people ages 20 through 12 reported they drank alcohol just beyond a sip in the past few months. At boys' age 12 to 13 years old, they've been drinked 0.7%, and they've drank any alcohol at 1.9%. 14 to 15 years old, 4.6% have been drinked, and 8.9% has drank any alcohol. To 16 to 17 years old, 14.4% have been drinked, and 22.2% have drank any alcohol. Girls' age is the same thing as the boys, and 1.3 million young people reported drinking 5 or more drinks in the past month. The deaths that have on the database from the Center Disease Control and Prevention, 1,580 deaths are from motor vehicle crashes, 1,269 are from homicides, 245 are from alcohol poisoning, drowning, falls, and burns, 492 are from suicide.
So this seems like a real problem, huh?
Yes. And sexual assault is also common with teens drinking way too much. And what causes teens to drink can be trouble in school or trouble with the law and peer pressure. Aurora, what does the parents have to do with teen drinking?
So for the parental teen drinking, for providing, selling, or giving alcohol beverages to a minor is a crime for anyone to sell, serve, give away, or permit the sale of an alcoholic beverage to anyone under the age of 21. Violations of an alcoholic beverage this law is a Class 2 misdemeanor offense. The penalties include you will be sentenced to not less than 3 months and not more than 1 year in jail. You will be ordered to pay a fine range from $250 to $1,000. By 8th grade, almost 30% of kids have tried drinking alcohol. 58% of sophomores have used it. 8% of high school students admit to driving after drinking. 11% of alcohol consumed in the U.S. is from underage. Parents lessen the chance of their children using drugs by 42% of 25% of teens report on actually having these conversations. Today, alcohol is widely available and aggressive, promoted throughout society. Alex, yours is on
The causes.
the causes.
So, I just wanted to talk to everybody. So, how often do you hear about alcohol-related accidents, whether it's from the accidents that have happened with what these girls have already talked about, like sexual assaults or drinking driving accidents? How often have you heard about that? Like, you guys heard about that quite a bit?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. So that's usually an issue that we hear about a lot these days. Alcohol use at a young age has so many consequences, not just to your safety and your performance, but it also translates to how you do in school and your overall health. So first, maybe something you guys don't really know. Alcohol does affect your academic performance. 2/3 of students who have mostly A's are non-drinkers, and these are just kind of statistics that have been taken over time. But so 2/3 of students with mostly A's are non-drinkers, and half students with D's and F's are more likely to binge drink. So you kind of see a little trend here. When you're sober, like if you're a regular alcohol drinker, being sober, you're still kind of impaired. Like, you hear about how alcohol makes it harder for you to like remember things. Well, this translates to when you're sober and affects your brain to where you can't remember as much when you're sober also. So then, like they said, drinking, driving, sexual activity, maybe one thing you guys didn't know, you're twice as likely to engage in not safe sex when you're impaired. But this also leads to health effects along, like whether you're having sex or not. This leads to some major health effects, like you're more than likely to not use protection, like in the sexual part of it, and this can contribute to like STDs or unwanted pregnancies. It also kind of like drifting away from that more into the overall health. You're more than likely to see more fatalities. 1,155 people die every year from alcohol-related deaths, and it is the leading cause of deaths for teens, I guess, between the ages of 15 and 20, whether this be like drinking, driving, homicides, suicides, poisons, burns, drowning, like Madison said earlier. You see more injuries related to alcohol than those of all drugs combined over a year. In the past years, or I guess like a yearly average, 189,000 people under the age of 21 are sent to the ER every year, and this can get costly. Like these ER visits, just going to the ER because you had an alcohol-related issue, ends up being like $19,000, like a little bit more. But these are just kind of short-term effects, things that are happening in the moment. Alcohol also translates to have long-term effects, and this mostly is with the brain. Alcohol really messes with the brain. During your adolescence, between the ages of 15, 16, 17, when you're still a teenager, up until I think 23 is the actual like proven age when your brain is pretty much done developing. But during this time before that, your brain is going through significant changes. There's new hormones developing. Your brain networks are still developing. Like there's just so many things that is going on in your brain that alcohol messes with and kind of can sway. People are more likely to be stressed and depressed under alcohol because, you can gain that dependence from alcohol, and when you start at an early age, this dependence tends to stick with you because it becomes habitual. So, like I said, it interrupts the key development processes and it makes you more stressed. Another long-term effect is it impairs your memory. We already kind of talked about how academically, this can, when you're sober, it's harder for you to remember things and it will affect your academic performance. But this can translate to many years down the road too, because while you're that alcohol is having these effects on the brains, it's messing it up. And this is because alcohol literally causes you to have smaller hippocampal volumes, which pretty much means alcohol really does make the size of your brain smaller because it's not allowing it to grow. And so pretty much alcohol has many effects. It affects your safety, your academic performance. It affects your health from now to way later on in your life. And we just had somebody else gain us, Kailee Trujillo. And Kailee, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about the legal consequences of drinking and some of the laws that you might not know. Are you guys aware of Colorado's drinking laws?
Yes.
Some, not very well, but a little bit, yeah.
Well, there's always the possibility that you're going to have no legal consequences for your underage drinking, but that is under certain limits. Like in 45 states, there are exceptions to the underage drinking laws with parental supervision, and only 5 states have 0 exceptions to any underage drinking laws. Colorado's exceptions are to underage drinking are when you're reporting because of medical needs due to underage drinking for another minor. That's if you're drinking with another minor and something happens to where they need medical assistance, you can call the ER, 911, ambulance, and you won't get in trouble for your underage drinking because the medical emergency is more important than punishing you.
That's interesting.
There's also for educational purposes, such as if you're in culinary school. However, this exception is only for tasting alcoholic beverages, like wine tasting, and you cannot go and drink and say, well, I'm in culinary school. You'll still get in trouble for that. For medical purposes, such as, like, you could use medical marijuana for certain things. There are some medicines that involve alcohol that you can use with a special permission from your doctor. Then for religious purposes, which is like church wine, communion, all that stuff. And then on private, non-alcohol selling premises with parental consent, you can drink. Like if your parent gives you consent and you're with them under their supervision, you're allowed to drink on any private property that's not selling alcohol. And if you do, which I believe these girls did talk about some of the penalties and fines you could face if you are caught underage drinking. And a lot of people don't know that you could be affected well into your adult lives when you suffer these legal consequences. Like your colleges and workplaces in the future can still punish you or put you under certain limits if you've had run-ins because of underage drinking. Like your college could keep a special eye out for you or have their police officers that are on campus watch you more adamantly than they do other students, and you will get punished more harshly if you are caught drinking on campus or have alcohol with you because it's already happened before. And then in your workplaces, same thing. They could punish you or treat you differently because you were fined or charged when you were underage for drinking. And there's also, a lot of people don't know that civil liability hosts. So this means if you serve alcohol to a person under the age of 21, you'll be held civilly liable if the minor causes any property damage or injuries or even kills another person due to their intoxication. So if you get alcohol from someone who's over the age of 21 and you're a minor, anything that you do they could also be held accountable for that since they caused your intoxication.
Wow. That's interesting. I did not know all that.
So, pretty much what we have learned today, we learned about what happens if you supply to underage drinkers and give them the alcohol to drink in the first place. We learned about causes, or we learned about things that happen. We learned about statistics that have occurred and pretty much the basis of underage drinking. We've learned about some of the causes, whether they're sexual causes or the effects, whether it's sexual effects or academic effects or health effects and long-term effects, legal effects. So we hope that the message you get from this podcast is that teen drinking is not a good thing, and we just hope that you're more educated after this on teen drinking. So, for one last time, my name's Alex Blair.
I'm Madison.
I'm Aurora.
And I'm Kailee.
And we're from Lahana High School speech class, the Tigers Talking on the Prairie, and We hope that now you know a little bit more about teen drinking.